As we all know by now, in its latest resurrection, MG is known for making good value electric cars. And I did not want to brag about the price of this new MG4 like every other YouTuber does. But the problem is, you cannot determine the value of something if you do not know the price. So I'll just get it out there. This new MG4 is a competitor to the Volkswagen ID.3 and Nissan Leaf, but it will cost you the same as the Vauxhall Corsa E or Peugeot E208. So, review done. That sounds like extremely good value, right? Hold on, not so fast, not so fast. Let's find out if this car is worth the price or not. Hello there, monsters and men, ladies and people. This is the new MG4 and welcome to Recharging. Let's start with the easiest part of this review, the specifications. There is a MG4 with a 51 kWh battery pack, and you have the version that I am driving right now, the 64 kWh battery pack. The 64 kWh battery pack has more power, but because it is also heavier, both versions do 0 to 100 in around 7.8 seconds. All MG4s are limited to 160 km an hour and all MG4s have rear wheel drive. Hallelujah! The MG4 is not a crossover, it is a compact hatchback. And therefore, as already mentioned, it is a competitor to the Volkswagen ID.3 and Nissan Leaf. Is the MG4 recognizable as an MG though? Well, I would say luckily not. Because, let's be honest, have a look at the ZS EV and MG5. They are kind of boring, and this MG4, it is a good looker. The MG4 stands on a new EV-only platform from SAIC, and in the basis it is rear-wheel drive. So, rear-wheel drive, EV-only platform, a lot of room under here. Let's have a look if it has a frunk. Let's open it up. No, there is no frunk. There is a lot of plastic under here though. But there is room for an extra engine under here because there will be a hot hatch version of the MG4. A trend with modern cars are big alloy wheels, and that is because big alloy wheels make a car look good. Starting at 19 inch, going all the way to 21, 22. But big alloy wheels means big tires, means expensive tires. And therefore, as a more affordable car, I am happy that MG has gone with a more sensible 17 inch. And also, these alloy wheels are easy to repair if you hit a sidewalk. And that is because these are not alloy wheels. Demo effect. Got a breath. No, as you can see, these are fake. These are aero covers for the alloy wheels underneath it. Do I like the rear of the MG4? To be honest, I'm not sure yet, and that is mainly because of this huge rear light spoiler over here. On this luxury version, the rear light stretches over the whole rear, as with many modern cars. On the less expensive models, it does not. What all models are missing though is a rear wiper. If I open up the boot of the MG4, you will see a boot space of 366 liters, comparable to the Volkswagen ID.3. If you put down the rear seats, you will get a boot space of 1177 liters. Is this boot space not enough for you when you go on holiday and you want to expand your storage space by putting a roof box on top? Sorry, you can't. You can fit a tow hook though on the MG4. What MG has done with the driving hardware of this car is really impressive. It is night and day compared to the ZS EV and MG5. Where those cars are really comfortable and have no excitement at all, the MG4 reminds me a lot of how a German car drives. It reminds me a lot of the Volkswagen ID.3 and Cupra Born. And trust me, that is a compliment. The suspension is comfortable but feels planted, the steering is direct but it doesn't get nervous on the highway, and the traction control is more exciting than the Volkswagen ID.3 and Cupra Born. If you want to, you can let the rear brake loose a little. Yes, that is fun. Again, this is a really good driving car, a really fun driving car, and again, it is really impressive what MG has done here. Is it the most quiet car? No, it is not. It is a quiet car, it is quieter than a Kona, but it is not as quiet as that ID.3, for example. What about your driving position itself then? Well, the seats are good enough. They are not the best seats in the world, but again, they are good enough. They don't have lumbar support though, but besides that, there's plenty of adjustability. And also you can set the seat nice and low in the car for that sporty driving position if you want to. The steering wheel, again, plenty of adjustability, and it is nice and thick. The 51 kWh version of the MG4 has a WLTP range of 350 kilometers. The 64 kWh version that I am driving has a WLTP range of around 440 kilometers. Let me start by saying that the MG4 is not the most efficient car out there. The Hyundai Kona, for example, is more efficient than this MG4. But I have to say that the MG4 sits on the efficient side of the spectrum. During my test period, it is winter at the moment, the sun is shining luckily, but it is between 2 and 6 degrees Celsius and there is quite some wind. When driving on mixed roads, I get a range of 380 to 400 kilometers. That means that I expect that in summer, yes, you can get the 440 kilometers that MG claims that this car can do. When I'm driving on the highway, around 100 to 110 kilometers an hour, the range is more 350 kilometers. And when you drive faster, and the absolute maximum here in the Netherlands is 130 kilometers an hour, when driving 130 kilometers an hour, I get a range of around 250 kilometers. I have to say though that this is the luxury version, and the luxury version of the MG4 gets a heat pump, so therefore it should be more efficient in winter. The other versions of the MG4 do not get a heat pump, so your mileage may vary in winter or during colder periods. Another thing to note though is that the 51 kWh version of the MG4 has a LFP battery. And the characteristics of a LFP battery is that it mines less to be charged to 100%. So that means that with the 51 kWh version you can enjoy the full range more than you can with the 64 kWh version. And no, it is not possible to do one pedal driving in the MG4. You do have 3 regeneration settings, but the car will never come to a complete stop without pressing the brake pedal. The version with the 51 kWh battery pack only gets a single phase onboard charger as standard, and if you are unlucky, charging it from 0 to 100% will take you around 13 hours. Fast charging can be done with a maximum speed of 117 kilowatts. The 64 kWh battery pack gets a 3-phase onboard charger as standard, and charging that from 0 to 100% will take you around 6 hours. The 64 kWh battery pack has a maximum fast charging speed of 130 kilowatts. Charging both versions from 10 to 80% on a fast charger will take you around 30 minutes. All MG4s also get vehicle to load. That means with a special adapter that I don't have, you can power anything that you want from the battery pack of this car. Here in the interior you can see where MG tried to save some money. And not in terms of quality of the materials, because the quality of the materials are better than in a Kona or in a Volkswagen ID.3. This is a nicer place to be in than in those cars. No, you notice it in the things you don't normally think about that are present in a car. Like this car doesn't have an interior light at the rear seats. There are no grab handles at all on the ceiling. There is no rain sensor for your wipers. And also, like every modern car, basically all functionality is in the infotainment system, because developing a button is more expensive than just putting it in a screen in some software. So yes, also the climate control is controlled through the infotainment system. MG tried to make things a bit easier by adding 2 programmable buttons here on the steering wheel, but still a bit more physical buttons, car makers. That is nice. Trust us, that is nice. The infotainment system itself, as with all MGs, I don't have any major complaints with MG's iSmart infotainment system. Overall, I think it is a simple and intuitive system to use. Only the screen is a bit small and it is not always the most responsive system in the world. And MG can improve this because there are some weird UX choices, like some buttons are really small, so they are quite hard to press, especially when the screen is in its not so responsive mode, and then especially while driving. So if MG could just make some buttons a bit bigger, or maybe some other design choices, like here you have an Android Auto icon, so if I want to go to Android Auto, I press on it, but you think the whole tile is pressable, but no, only the icon of Android Auto is pressable instead of the whole tile. So some minor changes can improve this system by quite a lot. There is an airplane, I hope you don't hear it. General build quality then, it's fine. Everything feels sturdy and solid in this car. And as I said, the quality of the materials, nicer than the Kona and ID3. Cubby space then, the door pockets are of a average size. I wanted to say reasonable, but they are more average size. You have 2 cup holders here in the middle. You do have a small pocket here which has a closable door lid, or at least you can put things away from sight, so that is nice. The pocket on your armrest is quite big and you also have an average glove box. Let's have a look at the rear seats. The seat in front of me is in my typical driving position. I am 1 meter and 85 centimeters and I have plenty of knee room. Headroom is okay too. At the moment I can shove my feet under the seat in front of me, but the seat is not in its lowest position. If it is in its lowest position, I don't think you can do this. The car is quite wide, so sitting here with 3 people is doable. And also there is no hump in the floor because this is an EV on an EV only platform. The floor of the car is quite low compared to other EVs, and that is because MG or SAIC developed a battery technology where the battery can be smaller than normal batteries are. And the benefit of that is you have a lower floor. That means your feet are lower in the car, which means you have a bit more support here at your legs. Besides that, there is no armrest, so there you see some cost saving. No armrest, quite odd. Never seen that in a modern car. There is 1 USB port. The materials on the door are hard plastics, but at least you have a soft armrest, and you have some pockets here at the back of the seat to store whatever, magazines, mobile phones, you name it. The assistance systems in the ZS EV and the MG5, let's be honest, are not great. And in this MG4 the systems have improved a lot. But there are still some that annoy the shit out of me. And the problem is, you can turn them off in the infotainment system, but as soon as you start the car, the systems are back on again. And the worst of them all is the lane keeping assist / departure warning. When you are not even close to the line, it already triggers. And by default, it does not give you a sound or a vibrating steering wheel. No, the steering wheel gets sticky. It feels really odd. And when you're getting closer to the line, the car moves the steering wheel slightly to keep you back in lane. But the steering wheel is moving slightly, but it does it with too much force. And it's not making the driving safer. I would say sometimes it is making the driving more dangerous. And this is a complaint of a lot of customers, and MG knows this. And they will bring a software update to fix this, but nobody knows what the software update will be. Do they make it less aggressive? Do they make it easier to turn it off in the infotainment system? Or, my personal favorite, they have to make it less aggressive, but also the car should remember the setting I have done in the infotainment system. If I have turned it off, then next time I get into the car, it should still be off. But only time will tell what MG will do. And before I forget it, yes, there is an app available to preheat the car or schedule charging, so very 2023. Anyway, what is my final verdict of the MG4? It is really impressive what MG has done comparing this car to the ZS EV and MG5. And I would never say you should go buy car X or Y because everyone has their own preferences. But it is really good value, it is a really good electric car, so if you are in the market for this type of car, you are crazy to not pay a visit to your MG dealer. And that was the review of the MG4. I hope you liked it, and if you did, please give a like. If you have something to say, leave a comment, and it would be awesome if you subscribed. And then I would like to say now, thank you a lot for watching, and as always, to be continued.